Naku, naku, sayang. Kasi nangyari talaga yung kinakailangan.
Ibibidyo ko muna to.
No problem.
Ой, а ты давно будешь наблюдать? Соломон. Иди, Соломон.
Oh, pila-pila yung ano doon no, sa libingan ni Jesus. Pila-pila. Marlon Tutpaye, Diyos Mares. Dito ako sa Garden of Tomb kung saan nakalibing si Jesus. Pila-pila yung libingan ni Jesus. Ayun, ang daming tao. Nihintay namin yung ano, yung tour guide. May tour guide kasi dito eh. Dami-daming turista. Andito ang iba't ibang uri ng mga puno. Bawat puno dito may pangalan. Ngayon to the tomb, yung tomb may ano, may maraming tao nakapila. Makinig muna kami ng story. Kaya aking mga kagrupo. Hey, Lunday Nose. Anong balita?
Kumusta?
Kayo naman?
Ano kayo?
Oo, doon pa din kami. Ikaw doon ka pa din?
Sama kami. Oo. Kami sila kung nag-trip.
Oo, kay Pastor Aris.
Sama mo. Trip ni... Naka-vlog pa sa inyo si Ore. Hindi na. Tagal na hindi.
Hindi ko na nga nakita, 2 taon na. Hindi naman na, umalis na siya sa El Shaddai.
Baka umuwi na.
Hindi ko alam. Tumiwalag siya sa El Shaddai. Hindi ko alam, nag-away-away silang mga ano. Ay, naka-live ako.
Bawal yan. Ikot na po tayo, Ate Lynn. Iyaan niyo sila.
Bye-bye, bye-bye. Ingat, ingat sis. Kita pa ako ng aking mga friends.
Okay. Guys, pay attention to our guide.
Hi everybody, my name is Ruth. We're going to take this path this way and I will introduce myself properly and then we will start our tour properly. So just follow me this way, enjoy the garden as you walk.
Okay. May tour guide sila. This place had may sariling tour guide. Ang daming turista. Yan. Wala pa akong harang. Lagyan ko muna harang. Marlon Tutpaye. Rosemary is Mariso. Dito ako sa holy place ni Jesus Christ. Andito ako sa tomb. Nasa Garden of Tomb. Mamaya papasok ako sa libingan ni Jesus. Makinig muna tayo ng story ng ano, ng lugar na to. Ah.
You like Tagalog translation?
You all speak English?
Yes!
Oh, you know how to speak Tagalog? No, I'm sorry. Haven't learned that one yet, it's on the list.
Kumusta?
Okay, so, as I said, my name is Ruth, and it's my great joy to take you around the garden today. Thank you for coming. It's lovely to see you all. Just, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the garden, only a tiny little bit. And then I'm going to explain to you why this area that we call Skull Hill is important. important. And then we will walk through the garden and go down towards the tomb, and I will explain a little more. Actually, I might explain everything here. That's going to be easier today because it's in the shade. So I'll explain everything about the garden here. We'll see Skull Hill, you'll have some time to take photographs. Then we'll go to the tomb and you can take photographs there as well. Okay? So, the first thing to tell you about is a bit of background to the garden. The garden is owned by a British charity. It's called the Garden Tomb Association, and it was set up in 1894, which is a long time ago now. The garden was set up so that Christians from all around the world could come and visit and see the things that are here, and so that they would be protected over the centuries. So hopefully, when you've seen everything here, you will understand why they need to be protected. We're going to think about Skull Hill, which is connected to Jesus' death. We're going to think about the tomb, which could be connected to Jesus' burial and resurrection. I'm going to give you information, and you need to make up your own mind about these places. So, the garden is still run by the British charity, but these days we work with the Israelis as well. And I'm not going to tell you any more history than that, just bear in mind that it is part of a British charity and it's still British run. So, we're in an area of the garden we call Skull Hill, and the reason for that is over in the rock face there. If you go about halfway down from the top and in from the right, you can just about see two holes with a point between them.
There's Skull Hill.
Can you see it over there? In the old days, in the 1890s, it used to look like this. Can you see there? Two eyes, a nose and a mouth. It looks like a face in the rock, doesn't it? Yeah. Like a skull face. And so it's possible that this is the place of the skull that the Bible talks about. It says that Jesus was crucified at a place called the skull. Because that's what it looks like, this could be that place. That's the first piece of information for you. The second piece of information is that we are outside of the city walls. And the Bible tells us that Jesus was crucified outside of the city walls. So that's the second piece of information. The third piece of information is to do with this area here, which is now a bus station. I expect you can hear it. Well, it is thought that this area was the quarry for Jerusalem, where the stones were gathered for building the city over there. But it's also thought that it was a place of Jewish execution. Jewish execution was by stoning. And so because this was a quarry, there would have been a lot of stones here. So it's very possible that this was a place that the Jews used to execute people when they committed a crime, as laid out in the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Excuse me. So that's the third thing for you to think about. What I want to suggest is that because it was probably a place of Jewish execution, when the Romans came and they wanted to execute people, their execution method was crucifixion. But the suggestion is that they would have used the same place as was already in use for executions. Why would you bother finding somewhere else in the city when there's a place that already existed, when all you wanted to do was execute people? So that's the third thing for you to think about. Excuse me, I just need a quick drink. It's very warm today.
Yan ang aking mga kasama. Ayan.
The final bit of information about Skull Hill is that this was a very busy
Pastor.
area of the city. And the reason for that is because there were trade routes here. If you go that way, you get to Georgia.
Yan yung Skull Hill.
If you go
Skull
that way,
Hill.
you get to Jaffa, which is the port city. If you go northwards, you get to Damascus. And these roads all join up down here by the Damascus Gate. And so these were very busy areas because of the trade that went on in this area. And so what I'm suggesting to you is that for the Romans, crucifixion was not just a punishment. It was a warning to everybody else that if if you disobeyed them, that's what would happen to you as well. And so they crucified people along the roadside, where it was very, very busy. And the reason for that is when you walked past, you would hear the groans of the person dying. You would hear their difficulties in breathing. You might see their blood spattered on the ground. And you would decide that you were going to be a very good citizen. You were not going to argue with the Romans because you did not want crucifixion to happen to you. And so that is why the Romans crucified people along the roadside. So if you put that alongside the other pieces of information I've given you, so you've got the skull face in the rock, you've got the fact that we're outside the city walls, that this was a place of Jewish execution and probably Roman execution, and then finally it was a very busy area for people to be crucified. Put all those things together, and there's my 4 reasons why this may be where Jesus was crucified, but you will notice I've said it might be, because we can't prove it. That is why you have to make up your own minds. All I can do is share information with you, and you need to do the thinking, okay? But what we tell everyone who comes here, what is more important than where Jesus died is why Jesus died. And Jesus died because God loved the world so much that he sent his son.
Amen.
That we might have forgiveness of sin, that we might have new life in Jesus, and that we might prepare ourselves and that he might prepare us for eternity. So that is the most important thing to think about, not whether it's the right place or not. But remember, Jesus died because he loves each one of us, and that's the most.
Amen.
So that's what you need to know about Skull Hill. Now I'm going to tell you about our tomb. Just very quickly, I'm going to show you a picture of our tomb. Don't usually do it this way round, so this is a picture of our tomb, and we will go and see it shortly. But this is what it looks like, okay? But before I talk about the outside of the tomb, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the garden and Jesus' death and his burial. On the day that Jesus died, he died about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But we also know it was going to be a Sabbath day. And so what is important about that is that there were a lot of things to be done so that Jesus could be buried properly before everybody got home in time for Shabbat. You know, don't you, because you live in the land, that Shabbat starts quite early. So from 3 o'clock to the beginning of Shabbat, there wasn't much time. So I'm going to tell you what there was to do. Joseph of Arimathea and his friend Nicodemus wanted to give Jesus a proper burial. So they had to go to Pilate and get permission to take Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised that Jesus was already dead. So he checked with the centurion. The centurion confirmed that Jesus was dead. So Pilate gave permission. Then Joseph and Nicodemus had to go to the cross, take Jesus' body off the cross, carry the body through a garden, prepare it for burial, and put it in a tomb. And they had to close up the tomb and get home before Sabbath started. That's a lot of things in a short space of time, isn't it? But because Skull Hill and our tomb are close together, then those things are possible. They were farther away from each other. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that we have a garden here, and the Bible tells us there was a garden. And in that garden, there was a tomb that had been cut out of the rock and nobody had been into it. Well, our tomb was cut out of the rock. You can see the cut marks on the other side. We're in a garden today. But actually, we can also suggest that it was a garden in Jesus' time. Because we have a wine press in here. This is a picture of a wine press. And the archaeologists tell us. Just wait Okay, so the archaeologists have told us that this wine press dates from Jesus' time. And so that tells us there would have been a vineyard here in Jesus' time. And because of that, we can call it a garden. Because gardens in Jesus' day had to have a purpose, have a reason for existing. And so if you have a wine press, there must have been a vineyard. Okay? And that was a garden in Jesus' time. So that's the second thing that we need to remember. We have a garden in Jesus' time, we have a tomb cut out of the rock. So again, we need the description given to us in the Bible. The third thing to think about is to do with the picture I just showed you. To do with the tomb itself. Can you see here, in front of the tomb, there's a channel. This channel is not for water, and it's not for feeding animals. It is a channel for rolling a stone in front of the tomb. This means it would be a flat stone, but it would be round, and the channel helps guide it into place. And there's two reasons for this. One of them is it would be a family tomb. You wouldn't have a tomb cut out of the rock and only ever use it for one person. And the second reason is because the Jewish tradition of Jesus' time was that you would send a family member into the tomb after a year, and they would collect up the bones of the dead person, and the bones would be stored in a box called an ossuary box. And these ossuary boxes would be stored inside the tomb or nearby the tomb. And so to do that again, you need to have a stone that you can move backwards and forwards. So our tomb meets the needs and requirements of the traditions of Jesus' time. The final thing about our tomb is that it has 2 rooms. And the importance of this is that the layout of our tomb meets the description given to us in the Bible of what happened on Resurrection Sunday. We read that Mary went to the tomb, and it tells us she went into the tomb and she looked to her right, expecting to see Jesus' body. So she went into this area, which is where the bodies are prepared for burial, and then she looked to her right, to the burial area. And she would have expected to see Jesus' body either here or here. Now Jesus' body wasn't there. Instead there was an angel who said, Mary, you're looking for Jesus, but he's not here anymore. He's risen from the dead.
Amen.
So Jesus is alive.
Amen.
Amen.
What you need to remember is that she went into the tomb and she looked to her right. When you go into our tomb, you will go into our tomb, into the preparation period, and you will look to your right to see the burial area. The final piece of information for you is that on Resurrection Day, Peter and John went to the tomb, and it tells us that John got there first and he bent down and he looked in the tomb. Now when you get to our tomb, if you're taller than I am, you will need to bend down to go into it because the doorway is low. So again, our tomb meets the descriptions we're given to us in the Bible of what happened on Resurrection Sunday. So that's all the information about our tomb. Just like I said before, the place is not the most important thing. It's that Jesus is alive. We no longer serve a dead Savior. We never served a dead Savior. We serve a living Lord Jesus. And that is the important thing. What I'm going to do now is give you a few minutes to look at the scaffold if you want to take photographs. If you head over that way, and then when you're ready, we'll go through the garden and look at the pictures. Okay? So head over there, take photographs.
So taking a picture and video of that area, as you can see there,
Just remember, they're having their
that was indicating the movement. Someone running off the lake. Then we know that when Jesus was the cross, everything was
Ay, yung Skull Hill, Golgotha. Ay,
unbeliever. The exact place where it was is not the most the Son of God, the only man ever to live a life like because of that, he could lay down his life.
Ayan, babalik na tayo doon. Oh. Nagbibideo yung isang kamay ko, yung isa naman nagla-live. Ay, ay, ay. Nagbibideo yung isang kamay ko, yung isa nagla-live. Ayan, oh. Yung isa nagbibideo, yung isa nagla-live. Ah, may kamunpig, oh. Nandito yung lahat na puno. Bawat puno dito may pangalan. Oh. Diba? Double purpose. Yung isa nagbibideo, yung isa nagla-live. Ayoko na kasi ilagay sa YouTube, kaya ni-live ko na lang. Oh. Ganda dito, diba? Multitasking. Ay, oh. Yung isang kamay nagpipicture, nagbibideo, yung isa nagla-live. Diba? Maganda dito. Pupunta tayo sa tomb. Ay, yung tomb. Diba? Ang daming tao dito. Tingnan. Basilaw kasi kaya hindi ko makita yung ano eh. Ayun oh, may ano oh, may mga pangalan yung mga puno. Yung mga puno may mga pangalan. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, eh si ate oh, yung kasyawa ko. Pagkatapos ng picture, kanya-kanya na. Oh, may pangalan yung puno oh. Bawat puno dito may mga pangalan. Ano yan dito? Prayer garden. Yung prayer garden oh. Oh, may prayer garden dito. Ganda ng prayer garden. Picture natin yung prayer garden. May fountain sa prayer garden. Oh. May prayer garden din dun sa taas. Ah, dito yung concert. Yung concert place. Bababa tayo dito sa ano. May concert dito eh pag Saturday ata o Sabado o ano diba? Ang ano dito, ito yung puno na may pangalan oh. Puno na may pangalan. Andito ako sa taas eh. Mamaya bababa ako dun. O pila-pila doon sa libingan ni Jesus. Yan o. Libingan ni Jesus. Pila-pila. Pila-pila sa libingan ni Jesus. Tignan mo. Libingan ni Jesus. Oo. Mahal na araw kasi kaya daming Christian na pupunta dito. Diba? Ikot ko pa kayo tapos i-end ko na. Kasi mag-picture ako tsaka mag-video. Daming bulaklak dito. Ang daming tao, pila-pila. Pila-pila sa ano? Sa Tomb of Jesus. Yung mga kasama ko nakababa na. Daming tao. Ayun, oh. Pipila ako. Papasok ako sa loob. Holy place kasi yan. Ito yung bato, yung pintuan ng kuweba. Yung bilog na yan. Kung saan si Jesus na mo. Diba? Yan yung replica.
Miniature. But that's not the
The cave.
original size.
May cave pala doon, no?
Just to symbolize the big.
Yung cave. The cave. Yung nga kasama ko. He is not here, for he is rising. Ayan. Dami-daming tao, man. Pipila na ako dito kasi ang haba ng pila talaga. No posing at the tomb entrance. Oo, grabing haba ng pila. Di ba?
Bakit? Ik weet hoe ik zeg.
Haba ng pila. Sige na, babay na. Papasok ako sa loob ng kuweba sa libingan ni Jesus. Bye-bye.